Lovely viewers, the truth about Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo's love has been quietly, consistently, and entirely honestly visible for anyone paying the right quality of attention across the full arc of the story. Not in a single dramatic revelation, not in one coordinated disclosure through professional channels or one managed statement from one agency, or one carefully timed public appearance designed to confirm what the watching world has been speculating about. In the accumulation, in the specific patient, entirely organic accumulation of small and ordinary and entirely unperformable things that have been surfacing to the carefully maintained privacy of the most private marriage in Korean entertainment, one fragment at a time, across every season of the story's existence. The truth was never hidden. It was simply private. And private things, when they are real enough and large enough and genuinely enough alive, have a way of becoming visible in ordinary spaces, and the ordinary moments, and the entirely unmanaged between moments of two lives that live with the full, continuous, deeply invested quality of genuine shared existence. The truth is in the private joke caught on camera, the hand that reached without looking, the contact saved as my love, the birthday wish answered before it was made, the building a family answer, the parents covering their faces, the father standing up, the twins, the morning video, the cheer, the turning to find her before the podium, the record of the ordinary days on the bedside table, the handmade gift in the jacket at the Dragon Festival, all of it together, all of it real, all of it the truth, coming to light not in a single moment, but across every moment that the cameras caught and the witnesses described, and the inner circle carried carefully to the community that has been watching from the outside with the patient, devoted, evidence-based attention of people who always understood that what they were watching was real and who've been building that understanding piece by piece across every season of the story. Lovely viewers, the truth. Before we go into what the full picture of the Min-kyo love actually looks like when every piece of the accumulation is held together simultaneously, and the complete truth of what Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo are to each other in the interior of the most private marriage in Korean entertainment, is allowed to be seen in its full and complete and entirely real form. I need you to understand what kind of truth this is. Not the dramatic revelation truth of a story that has been hiding something significant and that produces the truth in the form of a single, explosive, narrative-reshaping disclosure. The accumulated truth. The specific, patient, genuinely unglamorous kind of truth that builds across ordinary moments and ordinary mornings and ordinary airport encounters and ordinary family walks and ordinary quiet evening phone calls until the accumulation is simply too large and too complete and too genuinely, overwhelmingly real to be understood as anything other than exactly what it is. Like this video right now. Subscribe to this channel and turn on every notification because the Min-kyo story has been building toward this understanding across every season of its mostly private existence, and what is built is the most complete and the most genuinely real picture of a love story that has ever been assembled from the evidence of small and ordinary and entirely unperformable things. Stay with me. The truth begins where the story begins, which is not with a grand public declaration or a significant professional occasion, or any of the extremely significant moments that the entertainment industry's documentation of famous relationships tends to produce as the foundation of a narrative. It begins with the quietness, the specific, early, unhurried quality of the romance that Song Hye-kyo's mother noticed before anything else had been assessed, and that she described as the most convincing thing. Not the visible expressions of affection or the public appearances or any of the externally documentable features. The quietness, the specific quality of two people who were not trying to convince anyone of anything, who were present with each other in the unhurried, entirely genuine way of people who had found something they did not need to amplify or perform or manage for any external consideration because the thing itself was sufficient. The truth begins there, in the quiet, before the industry had assembled its framework for what was developing, before the fandom had begun its patient, devoted work of reading the fragments and building the picture from the outside edges inward, before any documentation existed, in the quiet, between two people, simply, genuinely, entirely present with each other. The quietness convinced the mother, and the quietness, across every season of the marriage that has followed the early quietness, has been the foundation of everything that the truth of the Min-kyo love has always rested on. Not the spectacular, the quiet, not the managed, the genuine, not the performed. The real, the truth is in what he does when nobody is watching. Song Hye-kyo said this, from the most primary position available for saying it. She knows who he is when nobody is watching, and what she knows from the position of someone who's been present in the private world with the person nobody is watching across all the ordinary seasons of the marriage is the foundation of the specific, quietly devastating quality of certainty that the most devoted observers of the Min-kyo story have always had about the interior of the marriage from the outside of it. The outside has always been reading the evidence of the nobody is watching version, the hand that reached without looking, the smile before the turn confirmed what the body already knew, the eyes that found her before any decision to look had been made, the cheer that arrived before the management layer, the standing before the realizing, the turning to find her before the podium. All of it from the nobody is watching version, the one that exists in the ordinary mornings and the private evenings and the domestic interior, and all the most genuinely real and the most entirely honest features of shared life that has been built almost entirely in the private space that the watching world has been given only fragments of. The nobody is watching version is the truth, and the truth, accumulated across every fragment that has surfaced from a nobody is watching dimension of the private world into the public spaces where the documentation exists, is a picture that the Min-kyo story has been building toward from the very beginning. The truth is in the specificity. This is a dimension of the Min-kyo love that the most attentive observers have always identified as the most reliable indicator of its genuine reality, not the general warmth or the broadly applicable affection that famous relationships sometimes project in their public dimension with professional skill that both people at the center of them have developed across the careers that produce their prominence. The specific warmth, the precisely calibrated, entirely personal, deeply interior specificity of knowing another person from the inside and responding to that knowing in a specific, particular, irreplaceable form that only the knowledge of the specific person produces. The birthday wish answered in the exact form it needed to be answered in before the wishing had even been completed. The handmade gift that the Dragon Festival built from the interior reference that only the most primary insider knowledge of the private world could have accessed. The record of the ordinary days assembled from the specific, particular, entirely personal accumulation of the domestic interior. The nickname that belongs to the private language, and that feels like the first time every time because the knowing that produced it is continuous and genuine and never becomes a flat familiarity that takes things for granted. The specificity. In every piece of the evidence, in every fragment that has surfaced from the private world, in every testimony from every witness who has been in proximity of the interior of the marriage from any position of genuine closeness to it, the specificity is the truth. And the truth is specific in a way that only genuinely, continuously, completely real love is specific. The way that knows without being told. That answers before the wishing. That remembers a thing mentioned once and carries across years and produces it at the Dragon Festival. That makes something with its hands for the person it loves. That specificity. That is the love. The truth is in what it costs. Both of them. The specific, privately significant cost of maintaining the most carefully guarded marriage in Korean entertainment across every season of its existence in the conditions that the most publicly documented industry in the world generates for the private lives of the people who inhabit it at the level of prominence that both of them inhabit it. The cost of the consistent, jointly maintained privacy of the management layer operating at full capacity in every shared public space, of the discipline of not telling, of the careful, continuous, jointly operated navigation of the boundary between what belongs to the private world and what the public world is permitted to see. Both of them pay this cost. Daily, in the specific, unglamorous, entirely genuine form of two people who understand what is at stake when private love becomes public content and who have made the shared, considered, deeply held commitment to protecting the most real and the most important thing in their lives from exactly that transformation. The cost is real. The paying of it is real. And the fact that both of them pay it consistently, daily, across every season of the marriage, is itself the most complete and the most primary evidence available that what is being protected is worth the cost of protecting it. You do not maintain this quality of jointly operated, consistently disciplined privacy around something that is not genuinely, entirely, completely real. The privacy is the evidence. The cost of the privacy is the evidence. The truth is in the paying of it. The truth is in the testimony. Not one piece of testimony. The full accumulation of it from every source with any position of proximity to the interior of the marriage across the full arc of the story. The mother who saw her daughter breathe differently, who prays every day that she knows how rare he is, who said he loves her without requiring anything of her in the loving. The father who covered his face with both hands at the news of the twins, and who stood up because the news was too significant for the seated position. The closest friend who said she is the reason for everything. The inner circle witnesses who have described the domestic interior with the consistent vocabulary of people who have been in the presence of something genuinely, completely real. Song Hye-kyo herself. Every time she has spoken from the honest interior about the private world, the I did not know I was capable of this. The meant to find him. The son will remember him as his dad forever. The breaking of her silence on the ladies' man rumors with the private laugh, and the 8 words about knowing who he is when nobody is watching. Lee Min-ho himself. The building of family answer. The God's gift from the most formal cultural podium. The this belongs to us from the most significant award stage. The emotional toast. The tears in the small private room. All of it together. The full accumulation of testimony from every source with any position of genuine proximity to the interior of the marriage. This is the truth, coming to light not in a single moment, but in the full, complete, accumulated form of everything that all of these sources, from all of these positions, have said from the inside of the most private marriage in Korean entertainment. The truth is in the ordinary mornings. This is a dimension that all the spectacular moments and all the significant revelations and all the primary testimony from all the most credible sources has always been pointing toward as the place where the most genuinely real truth of the minho love actually lives. Not in the award ceremonies or the cultural podiums or the significant occasions where the most publicly primary statements have been made. In the ordinary mornings. The breakfast made in the ordinary morning light. The twins fed on the floor. The record of the ordinary days on the bedside table. The quiet evening phone call. The coffee at the kitchen table beside the award. The cheer in the professional room produced by the interior that lives in the ordinary mornings. The building of family answer that describes the ordinary mornings as the happiest memory of the year. All of it pointing toward the ordinary morning as the place where the truth of the minho love most completely and most genuinely lives. Because the ordinary morning is where the real things are, where the professional surface is entirely absent, where the domestic interior is simply the domestic interior, where the people who share the life are simply the people who share the life, where the truth is not managed or calibrated or professionally appropriate, but simply, entirely, completely itself, in the ordinary morning light, with the breakfast and the twins and the bedside table and the coffee and the award and the family and the private world in all its ordinary and unglamorous and entirely real fullness. The truth lives there, has always lived there, and every piece of the evidence that the minho story has ever produced has been pointing, from the first private joke caught on camera to the morning video of the twins, toward exactly that ordinary morning, as the place where the truth is simply what it is, without management, without performance, without any of the professional infrastructure that both of them bring to the public dimension of their shared life. Simply the truth, in the ordinary morning. Real. The response to the truth finally coming to light is not the response to a single revelation or a single moment or a single piece of evidence from any single source. It is a response to the full accumulation, to every piece of the picture arriving at the understanding that it has been building toward across every season of the story's mostly private existence. The minho community has been building this understanding from the outside edges of the most carefully maintained privacy in Korean entertainment across all the years of watching and the patient, devoted, evidence-based attention of people who always understood that what they were watching was real and have been proved right, piece by piece, fragment by fragment, ordinary morning by ordinary morning, across the full arc of the story. The truth has always been there, in the quietness, in the specificity, in the cost, in the testimony, in the ordinary mornings. It has always been visible to the eyes that knew how to look for it in the right places. The truth about Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo's love is not a revelation because it was never secret. It was always simply private. And private things, when they are real enough and large enough and genuinely alive enough, become visible in the accumulated ordinary moments of a genuine shared life, regardless of how carefully the people living them have always protected them from exactly this kind of visibility. The hashtag was not manufactured. It appeared across the community with the organic, non-coordinated quality of the most genuinely significant minho understanding arriving simultaneously in every corner of the community that has been watching. It was always real, the hashtag said, and the internet, reading those 4 words in the context of everything the minho story has ever produced across the full arc of its mostly private existence, simply nodded, because it always was, from the quietness that convinced a mother, to the ordinary morning with the twins and the breakfast and the award on the kitchen table. Always real, always there, always the truth. Simply and entirely and without any remainder, real. Disclaimer: this video is created for entertainment purposes. The story is based on fan discussions, online speculation, and unconfirmed reports. It should not be taken as verified fact. Please wait for official announcements from the actors, their agencies, or the production team before treating any rumors as confirmed.